Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you again. Today I have Miss Arnesia Faison Jarmon. So she is here today because we wanted to go ahead and do a special episode or live for breast cancer awareness this month and go ahead and give tribute to all our survivors, any loved ones that's battling this, and also to do tributes to any loved ones we've lost. So before we get right into the interview, just to give you a few snippets of the accomplishments Ms. Jarmon has done. She has been not only a blessing to me, but our community here in Duplin County, North Carolina. She is a recipient in 2018. She received um, the Main Street Business of the Year Award for the Carolina Small Business in 2018. She also operated We Care Education Academy from September 2011 to July 2022 at the Drop In the Community Lab Foundation, a short-term drop-in care program for children. She also did most recently open 4K Extreme Cheer and Gymnastics, which is an amazing center that she does for our youth here in the community. And also, she co-founded this with her lovely daughters as a community nonprofit mentorship program, teaching not only fundamentals and foundations of cheer and gymnastics, but most importantly, teaching life skills to our youth. 4K also offers classes for children beginning at 3 years of age. It's an open gym for childcare and other community organizations. She structures classes for children and senior citizens, such as line dancing, yoga, and step aerobics. And in September 2023, she opened Everything 4K Event Venue and More, which is an event venue located in Wallace, North Carolina, that provides venue space for baby showers, birthday parties, conferences, workshops, and other events. And you'll even find a senior citizen Saturday, caregivers day out, family night out, parent night out, game night. In addition, she runs U-Haul of Wallace, a local U-Haul dealership that provides moving supplies, trucks, trailers, auto transport, tow dollies, and more. And not to mention, she is the head coach of the Wallace Rose Hill High School cheer program.
Oh,
And
Bulldog.
yes, and finally, I have so much. Finally, not to mention, she is a wonderful wife and a mother of 5 children.
Thank you.
And not to mention, she has some girls. So, that's some work right there. But they are wonderful, awesome kids, all of them.
Thank
Um,
you.
and what brings us to the most important part is that she is a breast cancer survivor. She was diagnosed in 2019. But as you could tell by paying attention to all the dates of all the things that she's done, it did not stop her one bit. And so I'm here and I'm proud to present someone who was a blessing to me and my family, my daughter, especially when I was trying to find daycare myself and I was in by
Yes.
Miss Arnesia Faison Jarmon.
Thank
So
you.
thank you. Thank you for being
Absolutely.
here. And
Thank
I
you for
sincerely mean
here.
that. You have been such a blessing. Even now to this day, when my little girl sees you out in the community, she sees you in town, the store, she's like,
They
and
are
she
more of a
remembers.
blessing to me than anything else. I'm telling you.
Oh my goodness. And just the heart that you have for our kids and for our seniors too. So I just want to start off with this 4K, like 4K cheer and gymnastics. Like, what made you start that nonprofit with your daughters?
So it's a very long story, but I'm gonna sum it up.
Okay.
My mom, who has been a heavy presence motivator, my safety blanket, my encourager, my prayer warrior, all those things. She took ill back last year, July 29th, 2022. My mom's name is Kay. My mom was left bedridden and paralyzed from a stroke that she suffered. In October, we brought her home. I went away from my daycare so that I can become her full, primary provider. And in that, I saw my mom kind of transition into a person that I never seen her as before, which was just not as independent, not able to get up and go and do the things that she loved. And one of the things that she loved was watching her granddaughters. Now I have a son as well,
Mhm.
and she followed him through all his athletics, but watching her granddaughters cheer, like she was on the front row for everything. Like you would have thought that they were like Division 1 cheerleaders because she was everywhere with us. So after, she took ill, we were traveled to football games and things like that. And of course, now she was unable to go. And my mom looked at me one day and she says, we're getting dressed for a football game. She's like, I want to go to the football game. And it broke my heart because she was paralyzed and she was bedridden and she didn't know that life. So my daughters, they came to me and they said, Mama, what if we do something in honor of Grandma Kay? Like we do something, we make it really big, and then we can take her and show her like what we've done, like in honor of her name. So it started out as 4K, which is my mom's name is K, but it's the number 4 and the letter K. And the 4K stand for everything that my mom exemplified: kind-hearted, kind-spirited, keeper of the kingdom. Like that was her. Like she would give you the shirt off her back. So we started off in one of my commercial spaces, and God did what he always does. And he magnified it. And before I knew it, we had grown out of the space. We were putting families on hold. And we just started praying about it and believing in God that if this is something that is going to manifest and be bigger than what we can think it's going to be, then we know God is, he's able. And he blessed us to get a storefront in a shopping center that has not been open for about 20 years. Now, all of a sudden, the shopping center is open. The lease space that we acquired, we did not go looking for it. We were actually walked and offered this space. This space later on, emotionally, as soon as I stepped my foot in the door, I realized it was the previous Shoe City resided in this storefront. My mom managed the Shoe City for 7 years.
Wow.
So God was doing a thing, and is still doing a thing. And through it all, there were so many confirmations. So 4K derived from us wanting to just do something great in my mom's honor so that we can show her, later on and give her something to be proud of. And my mom ended up passing away in April. So she knew of 4K, like she had seen pictures of the girls because we had performed and things like that. But we didn't move into our storefront until July. So she was unable to see that process of it. But it's all in her name, just trying to do something for the community with the heart that she has, where people can remember her and what she stood for, and families and children. That was her. The childcare facility that I ran for those 12 years, like she was there every day.
Oh,
Every single day she was there. So that was her thing, So that is where 4K extreme cheer and gymnastics derived from.
oh my god, that's such a beautiful story. And just like Miss Jarmon said, anybody knew her mother, they knew she was just a sweetheart.
That's
You
it.
step into We Care, that's who you were gonna meet. You
Yeah.
go in there. I mean, and her entire family, they just that loving family. And I would say this much, this is like a ministry for us, me and my cousin, to do this. And we take it seriously because it's like, how God tells you, go ahead, do something. And you may
Ooh,
be hesitant about doing it. And we were like, no, this is like go time for us. And we want to share stories of people
yes.
actually, they have businesses, but they give back in different ways, because most
Mm-hmm.
people think about businesses, you're only making money. Yes, you make it, is God provides you with your hands. He provides you different skills and talents. And yes, it's a way
Absolutely.
that, you make a living. But I don't think people realize there's ministries in different places other than pulpits. And
Absolutely.
so just what you're doing to give back and honor her in that way is very special. And so thank you
Thank
for
you.
doing that, because I can see
Absolutely.
her in all that. And I know our seniors are loving it too because we have some dancing seniors around here. I saw some
Yes,
of
so
that Senior State Homecoming.
yeah, and we definitely wanted to make them a part of it. Now, we have not had our very first senior Saturday yet. We are still accepting donations of equipment and things like that to fill the space for them. But with my mom and her situation, it made me again realize like, wow, quality of life is important. Like having other people that are in your population of, whatever it is that you've gone through. And in this case, senior citizens, a lot of times, they may be at like rest homes, but they're able bodied. They're able to get up and move around. And I just wanted to offer something that would give them like a space, like an environment to where, okay, this is our space. On Saturdays, I can go here. I can listen to music. I can craft. I can do whatever it is that I want to do in my time. So we have not had our very first one yet, but it is coming soon.
Please make sure to share it. And also too, as well, anybody that's watching this later on, what we'll do is we'll put the information. So if you want to give, we'll share the information too as well, so you can give for our seniors here. Because
That
like I
would be
said,
awesome.
they love to get down. Please do not
Yeah, they do.
underestimate.
Yes, they
Please do not underestimate. So come on and be the first ones out. I
do.
just went to an
Yes.
80-year-old party not too long ago, and I was
Uh-huh.
amazed. That's goals right there. So goals. They be the
I
first one out.
see.
So,
Yes.
so the next thing too is one of those questions like I would just only ask myself, someone, if I went to a doctor and they were to tell me a diagnosis and say, hey, you have cancer, I just only imagine how I would feel because I've been to doctor before and heard them give me other diagnoses before. And I was
Mhm.
just like, and, I just thank God because, every
Mhm.
single day you can't take it, you cannot really take advantage of the life and the breath that he gives you.
That's
So
right.
I just want to ask you, how did you feel that day when you found that out that you had
Mm.
breast cancer? And how did it come about? Because
Yeah.
that was
So it was, I think we have this perception that, because I had the perception like, okay, you got to have a lump. You know what I'm saying? Like there's indicators, like you'll know. Like for me, like I didn't have a lump. I never had a lump. I do my self checks, all those
Mhm.
things. Like I like to think I take pretty good care of myself. I eat pretty good. And for me, it was just one day, my chest, like right here, left side, like where my heart is, right on my heartbeat. It just felt heavy, right? Like I don't know what it feels like to like have a heart attack or anything that applies pressure in this area, but that's what it felt like. And it was just like a moment and then it went, it went away. And I was like, wow, that felt different. And you go on because I was running the businesses and things like that. And you go on, and then like the next day, the same thing. So, the next time it's like you pay attention, like, hold on, like, what is that? And it began to be like a persistent thing. You get what I'm saying? Like, I didn't have to be doing anything special. Like, I could be laying down and I would just feel it like all of a sudden. So I shared it with my husband, and he says, well, maybe it's stress. Like maybe you're working like way, way too hard. Maybe you need to kind of take a break. Because I do, I've always just done a lot. And I'm like, no, like, I don't think that's it, but I'm going to go to the doctor. So I went to the doctor, and my doctor tells me, like, this is my doctor that I've been seeing like all my life. Like, she knows my body probably as good as I know my body. And she's like, girl, there's nothing wrong with you. I'm sure you just need to take a vacation, right? Like, because we have that kind of relationship. And I'm like, no, like something is really going on, I promise. So she did like the EKG and all of that. She pulls the paper out and she shows me the paper. She's like, girl, it's like perfect. Like, what are you freaking out about? And I'm like, something is not right. I said, do you think I need to like maybe get a mammogram done? She's like, you're not even 40. Like, no, like, I don't think it's that serious, but let me, take a feel, take a look. And she did all of that. And she was like, I don't want to negate the fact that you're having these feelings, She said, I don't think it's anything, but to give you a peace of mind, like, what do you want to do? She said, your insurance is not going to pay for it because you're not 40. And I'm like, I don't care. Like, I need to know what's going on, you know? So she gave me a referral. I go over, I get, start the process, have the mammogram done. And while I'm having, I don't know if you've ever had a mammogram done or not, but they're very uncomfortable. So after all of that discomfort, the technician that's in there with me, she's like, well, your doctor, she'll call you. She'll probably call you later, tomorrow or whatever with your results, maybe Monday, because it was a Friday. So I said, okay. So I start to get myself dressed and all of those things. I get in my car and I start driving home and I get a call. And it's the technician. She's like, I'm sorry, your doctor wants you to come back because we sent over images to our specialists and they just want to do ultrasounds. Just, some areas that they, think we can get better images of if we do an ultrasound. So I'm laying on the table, I'm getting the ultrasound done. And you know how in your heart, sometimes you just kind of feel like, okay, why is this taking so long? Like, you kind of feel like something's not right. So when I left from the doctor, she says, your doctor's probably going to call you today. So I'm like, to myself, I'm like, girl, I don't know what kind of training you got, but you should not, because that worried me, like, okay, first it was next week, now it's today. So I get in my car and I'm driving and I'm almost home and my doctor calls me. She said, Arnesia, she said, I don't want you to freak out or anything. She said, but they did see some areas in your imaging. She said, it could be scar tissue. Like it could be a number of things. It doesn't have to be the worst, but we just want to make sure it's, not of any concern. We want you to do a biopsy. So, okay, no problem. Go in. I have the biopsy done. Not long later, it was another Friday. It was actually the Friday 2 days before my 1 year wedding anniversary, right?
Wow.
And my doctor called me and she said, Arnesia, she said, so your results came back and everything. She's like, are you by yourself? And I'm like, well, go ahead and tell me, because anytime you ask that question, like there's clearly like some not so good news. And she was like, well, it is cancer. And I went click. Like I hung the phone up on her. Yeah, because I'm like, it startled me. Like, okay, I felt like it was something. I was hoping that it was not anything. But to hear her say it, it was just like, I don't want to hear that. So I called my husband and I'm upset. And he's like, what's wrong? And I'm telling him, I'm like, I don't want to go nowhere for our anniversary. I just want to stay home. Like, I just wanted to crawl under the bed and just like not deal with it, And he was like, you don't know anything about what she said except for like, we're going to go away. And he made me. We're going to go away. We're going to have a good time. We're not going to give this any kind of negative attention. We know if God's going to bring you through. Now, and this is a man that, that's why I say God, he knows exactly what you need when you need it. Because my husband has never been like an out loud prayer. His faith has never been like as strong as my faith. Like I'll be like, yeah, we can do that. He's like, baby, like realistically, no, we can't. You get what I'm saying? So this is coming from someone who has never spoke like faith. And now God is showing me like, okay, you don't have to have it for yourself right now. Like I've given it to him and this is going to be your encouragement. And we went on the weekend, but I'm telling you, when I first got the news, I felt so defeated. Initial reaction, like I was shocked. I was scared to death. Because I do have my boy and my girls. And I'm like thinking the worst, like, okay, God, like, if this is it, then am I going to die? Like, how much longer? Just all that negative stuff starts running through your head. And we went away for the weekend and we did a lot of praying. I did a lot of talking to God. But our wedding anniversary was that Sunday. And I had my treatment appointment the next day to see what it was, how far it was, and all those things. And that Sunday, we drove home. That Monday, before I go to my appointment, I went and I sat in the parking lot of my church, and I was just praying. And just God brought to my memory a lot of things, Tiffany. And I remember probably about 8 months before I was diagnosed with breast cancer. I can remember being at my church altar, and prior to that, I felt like I was on fire for God. You get what I'm saying? Like, I felt like He was using me tremendously. Like, I was just on fire for Him. And at that moment, I'm at the altar, and I remember praying and saying, I don't know, like, I don't know if I'm still worthy, because I feel like I'm just like standing still right now. Like, I want you to use me, like, for whatever. I remember asking God to use me, not knowing,
Wow.
when they say, when you ask,
Yeah, when you ask him to use you, he's gonna use you. I was just speaking to somebody
you
at work
better,
about
you
that.
better,
So you ask him, but you know, he gonna
you better
use
be
you.
ready. You better be
Yeah.
ready, because I had
Wow.
no idea that this was gonna be the way. And I went to the church to say a very selfish prayer. My prayer was gonna be, Lord, when I go to the doctor this morning, I know you can do it. Don't let it be there. Like, let it just, I've seen you do the miraculous and make things go away. Just, I don't want to have this. Just make it go away. And when I got to the altar, like, I could not even say that prayer. It was such a selfish prayer. Like, I couldn't even mouth it. Like, I couldn't even, when I opened up my mouth, the only thing that I could do was thank God. Thank you, Lord, for using me. Thank you for this. I don't know what this is, but with you, I know I can get through it. And my concern and my worry and my fear became like faith. And okay, it's like I was ready to suit up just from being in His presence. It was like, okay, God, like, you trust me to carry this, like, you trust me to be able to kind of go through this, and be that billboard for people, to show them that, okay, you can go through this, but it's not a death sentence. And I'm telling you, that's exactly what He did. So initially, first day, shocked, scared, fearful, crying, terrified. But by the time I got to day 3, after I went on in and put on, suited up and put on, all that full
Mhm.
body, it was
Mhm.
like, okay, I can't have faith and fear. They can't coincide. Like, I got to choose one or the other. And I know fear, that's not Him. You get what I'm saying? Like,
Mhm.
that's not He didn't give us the spirit of fear. So I got to choose faith. And honey, day 3, I was ready. Like, I
You had
was
a
ready.
shield ready. That's what you said. You had a shield and sword.
Yes,
You had faith in the
yes,
word. All right. But that's
yes.
awesome. And just like you mentioned, like through your story, like I said, it's just confirmation on top of confirmation. I was speaking to a coworker today, and they were talking to me. They was like, Tiffany, when you say you want God to use you, girl, He gonna use you. He said, I
Ooh,
didn't think about it till
ooh,
afterwards. He said what it takes to be used. That says that strong witness. And it just
that's it.
even through this, you witnessing strong, because so many people that's gonna view this, you don't never know what place they could be in. And just to hear your story, it will give them inspiration that you can keep pushing on.
I hope,
And this
I hope so.
yes. And this leads me to my other question. What was your motivation? What was your push to keep on building? Because most people would, it would be so easy to get stagnant and getting your feelings and your emotions and everything that you've heard about cancer, everything that you've seen other people, the worst horror stories about it. What was your motivation to keep moving?
I'm gonna tell you the truth, right? Whenever I saw that, when I saw God showing up in a way, like, I know He loves me. You get what I'm saying? Like, I used to tell my mom all the time, like, I'm His favorite. Like, I mean, I am His favorite. And I say that all the time. So I always know that He's going to take care of me, regardless of what anything looks like, how bad how detrimental. I always have that faith, like, okay, whatever it is, like, I'm gonna get through it. It's gonna be okay. But when I saw him showing up, like going out of his way to confirm things that helped me to say, okay, this is God. This is nothing but God. For example, whenever I go to the doctor that Monday, my doctor is there, my actual doctor. Now I'm meeting with the surgical team and all of those things because we're going to find out how far this thing is and what we need to do. And my doctor, she always teases me. She's like, you know what? I've never told anybody that they have breast cancer and they not know what stage or anything. They just walk in here smiling. She said, but I know what that's about because she knows me, And the very first thing was, she says, we have looked at this and we have researched this and we can't figure out why you have this. She said the type of breast cancer that you have is not common in African American women and African American women your age. This is like a Caucasian, older female diagnosis. So she's like, we really want to run some genetic testing to see if there's something in your genes, some
Wow.
kind of reason as to why you have what you have, this particular piece of breast cancer. And for me, that was the first thing, like, okay, for them not to even, it don't even make sense that I have this. You get what I'm saying? Like,
Mhm.
that was indication number one that, okay, I'm gonna get through this. This is just like God using me. I asked him to use me. Then they told me, you're gonna have to have chemotherapy, so many rounds of chemotherapy. You're gonna have radiation. She said, I'm concerned that, you may get depressed because you're gonna lose your hair. I've always had like a lot of
Mhm.
hair. And they told me all these things, like the worst of the worst. And by the time we got through all the testing, through everything, like genetic testing came back, it wasn't genetic. By the time we got through all of those things, I was stage 1, right?
Wow.
I was
Look
stage
at
1.
God.
Yeah.
Wow.
Um, chemotherapy was now like, okay, maybe not. It may not be something that you have to do. Radiation, absolutely. I did 21 rounds of
Mhm.
radiation. And it was a lot. But my motivation to keep going was, I cannot let him down. Like, he trusts me to carry this. So even on the days that I felt like tired, exhausted, radiation takes a lot out of you. The days that I didn't want to get up and go and be in front of people, like, I pushed through because I knew that this was my way of showing, like, there's a woman somewhere that's going through this right here.
Mhm.
And she just needs to see someone going through the same thing, but going through it with a smile on her face, going through it, believing that God's going to do it for her, going through it, not having any doubt, any fear. And God placed so many people in my path when I did my radiation treatments. There was a Caucasian lady, and we were there every day at the same time. And she was an older lady, and she talked to me. And on my last day, she was not there.
Mhm.
And I'm like, man, where is she? I really wanted to see her today. And I go in and I have my treatment done, and I come out and she's in the lobby and she's waiting for me. And she's like, I just wanted to tell you that I finished my treatments the other day, but I just had to come today and hug your neck. She said, because you have kept me so many days. She said, you reminded me who God was on so many days. She said, I feel like God purposely set you in this seat beside me every day. Because the first day I met her, she was so scared,
Mhm.
and it was just her. She was so like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get through this. So my motivation became, there's people that are depending on me to get through this and to to look like not what I'm going through, but to look like what I know God is going to do through this. And I didn't tell anybody what I was going through in the moment, like outside of my husband, my mom, my uncle, and finally my children. And I shared it with them because I felt like as a unit, we're connected. And if everybody is believing and everybody is praying, and if it's God's will, his will is going to be done, you know? So I was very strategic in who I shared with because I didn't want anyone outside of my circle to get in my head and start sharing with me, oh, well, I know such and such and such, and they had that and they died. Or I know such and such and they had that. And oh my gosh, I didn't want anybody disrupting like this faith, this path that I was on. So like motivation became, again, those people that I knew were dependent on me to just go through it. Because when I get through it, like God reminded me the whole time, hold it, hold your tongue. And whenever I get done with this, you're going to share it with people. And the shock factor is going to be that these people that you share it with, they're going to be the same people that have seen you every day, that I have blessed you to walk out of radiation and walk straight to your U-Haul office and work. Because those people are going to look and they're going to say, hold on, how did you have that? And I saw you every day. How did you have that? And you were at every game for your kids. How did you have that? I never seen you down and sick, because that was going to be how he used that for them to get through what they were going through. So that, I mean, that was my motivation. Like, I got to do this because he trusts little old me, you know, to carry this. And this is something that I have to do, you know. He don't bring us to anything that he's not going to bring us through. And the things that we deem as bad, you know, he's using those things for our good. So I had to kind of just keep going, you know, keep going.
Awesome. And he did just that, because just the conversation we had prior to even getting on this, recording, I had no idea. Because, like, again, the joy of the Lord, and it shows, because I had no idea. And it's just been
Yeah.
a blessing to me too, because when you have people around you, you find out what they're going through. They still have a smile on their face. They still press. It gives you motivation. I remember
Yes.
hearing it's like even before I even had a relationship with God, I remember hearing Bishop T.D. Jakes, he talked about this. He said, success can be contagious. He said
Mm.
you got to be around people. And when you look at the word success, most of the time we look at it, we measure it by how much wealth we get, how prosperous we are, and that can come along with it. But success really is the accomplishments and the journey it took for you to meet those goals that you set.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So if you're surrounded by people that are meeting goals, they set out, this is what their hands were assigned to do, and they did it no matter what. It was their journey. It was a
Yes.
journey, and they got there. If you're surrounding yourself with people, like-minded people, it's going to be contagious.
That's right.
There's no way that
That's
you can,
so true. That is
so
so
it just
true.
always stood out to me. And so like I said, this conversation has been very powerful. Again, I hope anybody watching this, share this, share and tag anybody that you know that's going through something similar, or you just want to share with your loved ones. But I want to go ahead and conclude too as well. We've been doing something, me and my cousin Nicole, we've been doing something, keeping a theme of sharing affirmative words or words of affirmation, because we know words are powerful.
Mm-hmm.
One thing you mentioned was keeping your mindset in a positive frame of mind. And you also need to understand, most people, they need to be cognizant that words are powerful.
Yes.
Whatever
Mm-hmm.
you speak, that's what you think, that's what you believe, you'll start
That's
doing.
it. Yep.
And so
Absolutely.
we've been asking everyone, we've been featuring, what are 3 words that can best describe them or their businesses or the mission that they've been tasked to do. Last night we had someone, they did 3 words for us, and it was powerful for us. we would never have thought. They were like, okay, they said best thing to describe what I'm doing. They said to be determined,
Mm.
powerful, and then they threw us off. They said you have to be willing. You
Woo.
have to be willing.
That is good.
He said
That is
we were not ready.
good.
He was like, you have to be willing to go through
That's
and do what you
good.
need to do. You have to be willing.
Yes.
And it was like, okay. So I would ask, like, what I want to conclude tonight with what are 3 words can best describe what God has led you to do with your businesses
Mm,
and your purpose in life.
mm. Well, you just said one of them, and that's purpose, right? I think we kind of go through life looking for, you know how they say everybody has a gift. You know,
Mhm.
God's given everybody a gift. You just got to figure out what it is. And I think we confuse passion with gift. And whenever I began my businesses, my childcare facility was my first baby. And that's where my education is. That's what I've always known. And I started there, and there I adopted this, and it's very common. When you love what you do, you never work a day in your life, right? That is so true. But purpose separates all those other things from anything that we're trying to get to. You can be destined to do and to be on a path, and okay, I want to open up this child care center, and this is what I want to do, and this is what I want it to look like. But when God gives you purpose and he puts his seal of approval and his fingerprints on it, I don't care if you build up 100 child care facilities around mine. Who God has destined and designed for me to touch, who I'm supposed to affect through my purpose, those are going to be my people, if that makes sense. So
Mm-hmm.
that is one thing. Anytime that I go into doing anything, I tell people, they'll ask me, oh, well, why don't you hop on this and, we can collaborate, or, oh, why don't we do this business together? Or why don't we do this workshop? And I tell people, like, I don't do anything without praying, right? Like, that's my number one. Even when you asked me to do this, my
Mm-hmm.
spirit was like, oh, yeah, absolutely. I'll do anything for her. But before I said absolutely, it was, okay, God, if this is something that people are going to be able to see you through, you know what I'm saying? If this is something that's going to
Mm-hmm.
be beneficial and that's going to help, then you make us connect. You make it to where we can get this done, and it's going to be powerful for people. So that's number one. Perseverance, number two, because guess what? Even whenever you have purpose and you're driven and you got all this
Mm-hmm.
ambition, there will be things that are thrown purposely on your trail, not to cripple you, or not to, or maybe sometimes it is, to test your faith, a test of your faith. Okay, well, I threw this roadblock here. Is she still going to believe that I'm going to do this for her?
Mm-hmm.
She thought it was going to go this way, but instead it's going this way. Is she just going to stop and throw her hands up because now she doesn't believe? That test that he gives us, anything that he's given me, it has not been, okay, I'm going to start this business. No, yeah, it's going to be great. And everything's been great. I have had to persevere. I've had to overcome a lot of things that I just never thought that I would. But with each thing that I have had to overcome, it was a bigger thing, right? It's like, bam, you have trouble navigating this. And then now you have breast cancer. And then now this happens. And then now this happens. And what I learned through that whole journey was that those little things that start off in the beginning that you get through, that God moves you past, that you persevere, through, that is God's way of saying, okay, I'm a way maker. You know me to be, a financial advisor, because you pray to me, you trust in me. I'm gonna help you get those things accomplished. You know me to be a doctor for the sick. Like, you know me to be a healer, but do you know me to be this next thing? Right. So in the back of my mind, I'm always like, okay, God, breast cancer, I defeated it. What's next? Because I know with all that you have for me, there's something else that I'm going to have to persevere through that makes me worthy of your calling on my life. So perseverance, every single thing that I've done, it has played a part. And then the third one I would say, it's just God himself. You know, I cannot, I can't speak anything positive or anything. Um, I'm sorry. In all things, you know, I have to give him the glory, because sometimes people look at you and they look at the life that they see, like on the exterior, and they think you don't go through anything. They think, you know, you're just out here in the world and just things are great. And they don't understand that you do go through things, but things are still great because of God's grace and his mercy. And that's what I was telling you earlier. Like, I was honored when you asked me to share my story, because I know that somewhere there's someone that's going through this journey, this just finding out this. I don't know what to do. I don't know. I don't have any support, you know. God always puts us where he needs us to be in all things, even when we don't understand it, even when it doesn't make sense, even when we're frustrated, he is in the midst of all things. So, you know, that's why it was very important that in my 4Ks, Keeper of the Kingdom is 2 of my Ks, because that's what we're put here to do. You know, we're here to be good to each other. We're here to share resources. We're here to help each other get through whatever it is that we're going through. And then sometimes it's not even, oh, well, I have something financial I can give to you. Sometimes it's a word. Sometimes it's a testimony.
Yeah.
So those are my 3 words. And I appreciate you so much for even considering, you know, bringing me on to be able to share, you know, with people my testimony. And I hope that it has touched somebody. And I hope that it has given someone, you know, a calmness and a peace to know that I can sit here years later and say, yep, I went through all those things. And even when I was going through all those things, God still carried me through, you know? So thank you.
Thank you. You have honored me and blessed me by doing this, because, like I said, your story is powerful. And I was like, if you got booking, you could tell, like, and you know, you could stall God and let him lead the way, but I'm gonna be the first one getting it. Like, you just let me know, because it is powerful. And when I think about the number 4, you know, like when you look at the meaning, everything when you read in the Bible is not there just to be there, but 4 is also the number of creation.
Yep.
He made everything. He made it in 4 days. And so for you to create this and to give back, that's just God. That's just God. And just to hear your story, it really brings purpose for, like, you know, we hear about all the time, but for what much is given, much is required. And
Absolutely.
not and just hearing your story, it's just been a blessing. And hopefully, you know, like I keep saying, just take the seeds. Anybody who's watching this, take these seeds and really meditate on them.
Yeah.
Everybody, I can see anybody watching this, there's something for everybody in this live. Like, well, I call it live, but it's going to be recording. But I hope someone takes something from
Right.
it. I hope
Right.
something takes something from it. But thank you again, Miss Jarmon. And like I
You're
said, for
welcome.
anybody that wants to go ahead and support, especially like provide donations or anything like that for our seniors, I'll go ahead and I'll provide the information on our page. So you guys can go ahead and donate.
Mhm.
And thank you again for tuning in. We appreciate you. And thank you again, Miss Jarmon. I appreciate
Absolutely.
you. AKA
Absolutely.
also know Miss Arnesia. We don't call her Arnesia. We call her Arnesia because we country like
Yeah.
it. But
No,
thank you.
yeah.
I
You're
appreciate
welcome.
you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.